Some members of the domain EKARYA belong to the kingdom PROTISTA. These are the algae and the protozoans. All members of the kingdom PROTISTA are considered microorganisms. This is the algae. The algae belong to the kingdom PROTISTA. They are part of the domain EKARYA. The eukaryotic domain consists of organisms that have eukaryotic cells. Remember that eukaryotic cells are cells that have a nuclei and membrane-bound organelles. Algae can be unicellular or multicellular. Multicellular algae are made of multiple eukaryotic cells. All algae are photosynthetic, which means that they make their energy from sunlight. Algae cells are eukaryotic. They'll have a nucleus and they will have organelles. In the case of algae, the cells also have a cell wall superficial to the cell membrane. So their cells are going to have two structures that separates them from the environment: cell walls and cell membrane deep to the cell wall. Algae are photosynthetic, therefore they will have chloroplasts. You can see in this example the chloroplasts inside the cell. This is a multicellular algae. Not all algae are going to be green. These are called diatoms, which are unicellular algae. Sometimes they're called golden algae. Algae reproduce by means of asexual reproduction, seen here. During asexual reproduction, one single cell will divide to give rise to multiple daughter cells like itself. Algae can also divide by means of sexual reproduction. During sexual reproduction, two cells will combine their genetic material to create multiple daughter cells. In summary, algae can be unicellular or multicellular. All algae are photosynthetic. The eukaryotic cells of algae have nuclei and membrane-bound organelles. They also have a cell wall. The cell wall of algae are made of cellulose in most cases. Algae can reproduce by means of asexual and sexual reproduction mechanisms. The other type of protista are the protozoans. Remember, protozoans and algae belong to the domain EKARYA, and both belong to the kingdom PROTISTA. The protozoans are non-photosynthetic protista. All of them are unicellular. They lack a cell wall. They reproduce mostly by means of asexual reproduction, and they are informally classified by their motility. These types of protists are often called protozoans. Remember, protists are single-cell organisms, non-photosynthetic. They do not have a cell wall, which means that the only structure that separates the cell from its environment is the cell membrane. They are classified informally by their motility. So we have the ciliates that move by means of short protein structures throughout the cell called cilia. We have the flagellates which will move by means of a long protein structure called flagella, and we have the pseudopods, the protozoans that move by means of extensions of their cytoplasm called pseudopodia. Most protozoans will divide by means of asexual reproduction, in which one single cell will divide its nuclei, then divide its cell to create two daughter cells. So in summary, protozoans are non-photosynthetic protista. They're unicellular, they lack a cell wall, most reproduce by means of asexual reproduction, and they are classified informally by means of their motility. At this point, you should be able to answer some of these questions. Think about both the algae and the protozoans, and what are some of their common characteristics of these group of protista. What are some of the characteristics unique to algae that are not found in protozoans? What are some of the characteristics of protozoans that are not found in algae?